up there too, way up on the top.
Never stops.
Never stops. It's still snow there, huh?
Now, occasionally, elephant garlic, remember this guy, elephant garlic occasionally gets fairly big. And that's an example of a monster. You can see the difference there. And we occasionally will get those in the fields. But, that's so big that it's almost, well, it's great for a doorstop. But other than that, it's just a conversation piece.
Size,
Right. And then one of the things we do is, one of the things about elephant garlic is it's mild, although if you chop it a lot or puree it, it has a real kick to it. But one of the things we tend to do with it is we take it and we package it as cloves. And the elephant garlic tends to fall apart, and you wouldn't want to do that with one of these guys, because the minute you start pulling them apart, the garlic cloves are not going to last long. But this fella you can take apart, take the cloves out. In fact, if you didn't have this netting around it and you left it in the store for 2-3 months, the cloves would start to just fall out of it.
You got to put a little net on it. Huh?
So we put a little net on it. This is the way Tops is carrying it. We'll be carrying it in about a week. And this garlic is something that we, sort of a concept we came up with, because the cloves will last about as long as the bulb for elephant garlic. We went ahead and we separate the cloves out into basically, and put them in a little clamshell here, and there's a bunch of cloves. And these cloves will last virtually as long as the bulb lasts. And it's just a convenience thing. And this is we call it chef ready.
Let me see those.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? It's in a little container.
Little container.
You're at Ribbon Road Farm. Why not Lions Road?
Well, my wife says the road looks like a ribbon because it kind of waves.
But it's got lions on it. We've seen them roaming around in there.
That's right. Haven't seen them lately. Oh, haven't seen vampires either lately.
No, the vampires are definitely driven away. What is it about garlic that literally could kill the vampire? It's like a silver bullet almost.
Yeah, there was always a lot of talk about that. And it's funny, when we have gone to farm markets with our garlic and put them up, in the back of a truck and send them there, not a day goes by when somebody doesn't come along and say, ha, 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 I bet you don't have vampires on your farm. So there's this thing about vampires and garlic. And we haven't seen any, so maybe it works.
I'm sure it does, because I eat a lot of garlic, and I haven't seen any either.
Right, and of course the health benefits of garlic. When the medical guys will argue, but the truth is that if you go on the web, and of course the web has some unreliable stuff on it too. But if you look at some of the studies that have been done, some of the actual double-blind medical type studies, there's pretty good evidence that it'll lower blood pressure. It'll thin your blood. In fact, in China, they actually will use garlic instead of Coumadin to thin your blood.
Much better for you.
And it tastes good.
Coumadin kills you. I mean, it's very, very, very lethal in many cases.
So it's got a lot of health benefits, and it's just good stuff. And if you can, pesto, salsas, all these different salads.
You can't have a salad without a little garlic.
Right. You take one of these guys and you slice it in half this way. Take the 2 pieces, put it on a water-soaked piece of a cedar plank with a bit of olive oil on it, pop a little bit of tin foil on it, throw it on the grill, and after about 50 minutes you got a cedar roasted garlic, which is turned into almost butter. And you can spread it on toast or rye bread or whatever, and it's just outstanding flavor.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic stuff.
And every one of these garlics tastes different. That's one of the things when we do these garlic tastings, where we'll actually have a scoring sheet, kind of like the wine tasting, and we'll have people taste a little chopped garlic from a bunch of different bowls, and then they'll indicate whether it burns your tongue, burns the back of your mouth, is sharp, is sweet, has a bitter aftertaste or not. And when we've done this even with some chefs, the chefs have said, wow, there is really a difference in this garlic. And so certain garlics are good for salsa, other types are good for pestos, other types are good sliced in salads. So there's a lot of difference in flavor and taste.
No, who would know that? I mean, garlic is garlic to me, I didn't know that.
And it is, and it's surprising if you taste the different ones, how different the actual flavors are,
John, I see the light is moving over there. Somebody is on the phone or trying to get in. Somebody has a question about garlic, I know. Well, now, many different kinds of great garlic, 150 varieties, commercially grown probably. I like to go into the woods, and the so-called leeks are not leeks at all. They're wild garlic.
Right.
And they have a wonderful flavor, although people are, oh my God, that's nonsense. They have a nice, mild flavor.
They do.
I get them, and you just peel them with your finger and your thumb in the spring, say around best time to get them is the beginning of April. They're the
Right.
right size, but they're not too big. They get woody if they get big.
That's right.
And they're big enough so that you can you take them and you peel them it takes seconds. And use your thumbnail, let it grow a little bit before you work on your garlic, and just snip off the root. And you can do a 5-gallon can in 15 minutes. And I'll tell you something, you just dip them in salt and snap them down. They're just delicious. I grind them up, mix them with the regular garlic, 50-50, and put olive oil and salt in them, put them in baby food jars, and freeze them. And then you take it out when you want it. You should keep it in the freezer because it does deteriorate over a matter of a month or two in the fridge. And you take a spoonful out, and it's fantastic. Salads, pestos, as you said, anything, Italian food, Italian
Great stuff.
spaghetti stuff. All right, now,
And these are organic garlics, okay? I want to point that out.
now
is
tell
that-
me what the difference is between
Yeah.
organic garlic and regular garlic.
Okay. For organic foods, basically we have to grow the foods without any artificial fertilizers. So we can't, for example, pump our garlic field full of triple 30 and grow monster garlic like you get sometimes in California or Oregon. Secondly, there are no pesticides or herbicides used, and although garlic is relatively impervious to disease, you do get some kinds of onion thrips, nematodes. There's been reported issues of these tiny little microscopic worms called nematodes that have gotten into some garlic in Ontario and some garlic farms here in western New York and central New York. And it's devastating if you're an organic grower because you can't spray the field with a pesticide to kill the nematode. So basically you close up operation in that garlic field for the next 3 years and you grow it somewhere else. It takes probably 2 to 3 years to develop the soil in a field that's been opened up. If you take a barren field that's been sitting there fallow, you're going to have a low pH. You're not going to have high organic material resident in the soil. And if you want to grow really great garlic, you're going to have to take about 2 to 3 years of putting down cover crops, liming that field. Lime's a naturally occurring substance, so
It does
you
away
can
with
use
the
that.
base, so you become, it does away with acidic.
Yeah, that's right. It makes
becomes-
the soil more alkaline, which means the plants can take up the nutrients.
Right.
And more effectively. And I've heard of the farmers, they'll say, oh, well, growing garlic sounds like a great idea. It has a pretty reasonable price in the store.
Yeah,
We
it
should be
does.
able to do
$4
well on it.
a pound.
Yeah. And so what they do is they go out and they say, well, we're going to grow some. So in August, they turn over a field and they go ahead and put down a whole lot of fertilizer, a bunch of lime, and new field. And in September, they go ahead and plant their garlic. And about July the next year, they end up with something about the size of a golf ball.
A little one.
A little one. And then they go out of the garlic business, and because it takes about 3 years to really develop the soil to where
You
you'll
know,
get good garlic.
Whenever I plant garlic, I dig a trench in about 4 to 6 inches deep, and I learned one thing about the cloves, though. Tell us about the size of the clove.
Yeah, the bigger the clove, basically, in other words, look at this guy with these cloves. I mean, now that's a clove. This is an impressive clove. I mean, that's almost as big as another, that's bigger than another garlic, just one clove. The bigger the clove, all other things being equal, the bigger the garlic.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. You put a little one in, you're going to get a little garlic.
That's right.
You pick out just the outer ones, the biggest ones, when you plant it.
That's right.
Use the middle for your pesto or whatever.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Eat the small ones, plant the big ones.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and that's what we do. We take these big guys and we'll plant them, and the next year we'll get bigger garlic.
Sure.
And it's fun to grow. It's a lot of fun to grow, and it's very rewarding because it tastes so much better than the stuff that comes in from California or the real junk that comes from China, which is
Sure.
disgusting.
Yeah,
And you may
it's
see
big,
stuff
but
from
it's-
China that says organic on it, but let me tell you, there's a
Don't believe it.
great big, there's an outfit in California that grows about 93 million pounds of garlic a year. They grow it commercially. They don't grow it organically. They decided to get into the organic business, so they found a Chinese company which produced, quote, organic garlic, and they started bringing that in, repackaging it under their name, and reselling it. And finally, somebody in the company had the wisdom to say, you know, maybe we ought to test it to really see what's in it. Even if it says organic, we're not sure. After all, this is coming from China. And they tested it, and it had higher levels of pesticides and herbicides than our commercial garlic that isn't grown organically. So, and it usually is bitter because it's been stored a long time. This garlic is a very sweet, mild garlic, great for roasting. This garlic has a lot of punch to it. This pink music. It's great for garlic sauces, pestos. You know, this Spanish Roja is just, you know, it's the epitome of what garlic flavor is all about. Just a really good garlic. So you get a variety of garlics, and it's a lot of fun to experiment and taste them.
Yeah.
But you might as well grow organically if you're going to take garlic for your health, because otherwise you're likely to be putting a bunch of pesticides and herbicides into your body to try to improve it, which is not a good idea.
You know, one of the things I did when I did my little furrow, and every 8 inches I put it in, which is pretty crowded, but they did okay. I would be very careful. What am I doing here? Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. We have to hook this thing up. I'm not getting my secret messages. I assume that means we have a phone call. Okay, we got a phone call. I'll continue. Well, I dig my furrow, and then I put some composted manure right in the furrow, and then
Great stuff.
Drop my garlic in and cover it up 4 inches to 6 inches, and it starts to grow. You put it in September, right?
Right.
It starts to grow immediately, and then it wilts down in the winter, but the root system is in, and then in the spring it goes berserk.
Absolutely.
And by summer, usually July, August, it's ready to take in. You can always tell it turns good. Caller, thank you for waiting. Good morning.
Good morning. I have 2 questions for your guest on this beautiful, wonderful, fabulous, it's going to be weekend, and it's even going to stretch into at least half of next week. Isn't this wonderful?
Yeah,
I hope this isn't the only, what do they call it after the first freeze?
Indian summer.
Yes. I hope this isn't the only Indian summer we get, though. Anyways, because it's too early for me to be thinking about that S word. I have 2 questions. One is, well, do you have a secret method or a way to chop the garlic or cut the garlic? I mean, how is the best way to use the garlic?
Okay, well, first of all, if you were to take this clove and sniff it right now, you almost can't smell any garlic flavor. And that's because the ingredients in garlic that produce the flavor and the smell actually don't exist normally in the bulb until you cut it.
Oh, you have to cut it first.
Yep, once you cut it, there are some enzymes in there that go ahead and produce the compound that you smell, which is called allicin. And the more you chop the garlic, the stronger it's going to become. Any one of these garlics, some start off stronger than others, but the more you chop them, the stronger they become.
So that's why you can do them like in the oven, in the whole thing?
Right,
and you'll bake, and you won't it won't be near as strong.
That's right, it'll be mild and buttery. Whereas if you take the same garlic clove and you chop it all up or puree it in a food processor, it'll knock your socks off.
Okay, well, thank you. That was very interesting. I didn't know that.
Well,
and then I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you know anything about when in the civilized world, or just the world period, garlic started being used? I mean, was it from the cavemen on, or you know, when exactly? Do you have any idea of when it started?
Well, first recorded
the
mention of garlic, yeah.
Yeah, well, some of the first recorded mentions of garlic are actually back over 5,000 years ago. The Egyptians used garlic, and they fed it to their slaves because the slaves would be strong and healthy if they ate garlic. Now, mind you, the Egyptian aristocracy wouldn't stoop to eating garlic themselves. But
it was the poor man's food, huh?
That's right. They fed it to keep the slaves working hard, but they did take garlic, and as I understand, having read a couple of books, actually in King Tut's tomb, they found some cloves of garlic. And they would use the garlic because it would repel evil spirits while the spirits of the pharaohs ascended to heaven. So it's been around a long time.
Okay.
Yes, it has. It's been used in civilization apparently for a long time.
One of the oldest known foods.
There you go, caller. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Send me a stamped envelope. I got two $5 bills that'll get you $5 off your dinner over at that wonderful little place, the Lakeview down at the foot of the hill in Mayville.
That's a wonderful little place. I've eaten there before, and I love it.
Yeah, all righty.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. We have another call?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm wondering if you would consider branching into drying your garlic so we could have some garlic powder. I'm now concerned about the amount of it that I use and what could be in there.
Right, well, it's a worthwhile concern, because when